We're into the divisional rounds. We had wildcard weekend last week. We predicted very well. We're 6 of 6 on the franchise tag show.
We did. We had a good week last week. 6 of 6. I can't remember how many winning bets we had. About 8 or 9, I think it was in the end. So yeah, it was a decent weekend.
I'm not sure it's going to be as simple this week. I think me and you might see some of these games slightly different, but let's crack on. Let's talk about it. Let's go straight into it. Yet again, the first game up is the same team we had as the first game last week. It's the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I have to say, I just before we go into it, I do agree with you. It's very difficult. I have one that I'm confident with, and that's it. The rest is like it could be any of them win it. So it's a really tough one this week. But yeah, the Bengals going to the Titans, a really difficult one. I have been consistently going with the Bengals all year long, and I feel a bit bad going against them, but I am quite. Me and Freddie did a podcast on Monday night, and we were sort of saying what we thought and who we wanted to win more than anything else. I think was what it was. Having sort of done a little bit of prep for this and looking at the stats and going through the games and stuff like that, I really want the Bengals to win. I love everything about what's going on at the Bengals. I don't think they're going to win though. I think the Titans are going to win it. I had a quick look. The one weakness on the defense for the Bengals is against the pass, but they're not actually as bad as what you think about when you actually look at what they do away from home. They're much tighter away from home, so it's not so much of a weakness, but they are pretty good against the run, which obviously the Titans' main strength is going to be Derrick Henry coming back. The Titans do struggle against the pass a little bit. They rank 25th in the season. So I think because of that, the Bengals are going to have the ability to, get points from them because of that. Having said all of that, I just feel that the Titans at home, I actually think they might nick it. I think it's going to be quite a high scoring game. I think there will be a lot of points. Love the over for this one, 47.5. I think that could easily come off, especially with that Bengals offense. Love against the 25th ranked defense, the Titans. You have Jamar Chase is 13-8. I mean, that's you're not going to get that price unless you're away in a playoff game. You have to go for him for that. The one that I did also see for the Bengals, if you want a slightly bigger price, is Uzama. He seems to be being targeted quite a lot by Joe Burrow. At 7-2, I think he's not a bad price to go for. But I really think Mixon's going to struggle because the Titans are ranked second against the run. And when they're at home, they're first, and they're first by quite a distance as well. So I think that's going to be a really tough night for Mixon. When it comes to the Titans, any bets for them? The only one that I kind of thought of was just purely because I knew that it was you and me doing it. I know how much you love a quarterback sneak. So Tannehill at 11-4. If that everyone's going to be looking at Henry, so it's entirely possible that Tannehill might run one in at 11-4. But yeah, I really want the Bengals to win it. I think it'd be a really good game, and I really want the Bengals to win it. But I think the Titans are probably going to nick it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to stick with the Bengals, but you've been for them all year. I'm the same as you. I really like the Bengals this year. They've been really good to watch, and it's been such a good story with Joe Burrow and Chase, and everything they're building there. And I want to support the Bengals in this game, I think, but I'm with you. The Bengals have got a feel to me like the Titans had in their 2019-2020 season. They went into the playoffs as a bit of an underdog. Everyone was really excited by the Titans when they got in. They got through the wild card. They got through the divisional. And they lost in the championship game just before the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
the Bengals have just got a bit of a similar feel to me as the Titans used to, and I think that's the difference between these two. The Titans have now been there and done it. This is their third consecutive year of having a good go at it. And I think Vrabel's just done a fantastic job there, and he's just so experienced with going into the playoffs now. I think that's going to give them the edge. We said it last week when we were talking about Bills Patriots that having a bit more playoff experience and playoff players experience. I think it really does help when it comes to this time of the season. And yeah, Vrabel's done so good with that team with all the injuries that it's had in the middle, and still managing to produce the goods and overcome the doubters. Me being one of them during the season, I thought they'd tail off, but Derrick Henry's back as well. That's a massive plus. They've been doing well without him. I just think, yeah, this is one step too big for the Bengals this year, but I think we'll be talking about them next year and the year after, as we are with the Titans. So I think, yeah, they can have a similar storyline to that. I think it's going to be a close game as well. I think it might go down to a one-score game. Could be even just a field goal in this. I think it's going to be really interesting. It's a good one to start the week off, but I think the Titans are just too clever and will win this with how they manage it. But yeah, the Bengals won't go down without a fight. But yeah, I think the Titans are just going to edge this one as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people maybe aren't thinking about, I think the other thing is that coaching is going to be huge during these games. And I just feel like with Zach Taylor, not quite as good, Vrabel, much more experienced, kind of got that sort of grit about him where I think he'll get it over the line a little bit more. Come from the school of Belichick. So obviously that's always a positive when it comes to playoff wins. Yeah, I just feel like I get the feeling that they might just grind it out just that little bit more than what the Bengals can do at the moment. But I agree. The Bengals. I mean, I know Freddie's got his love of Seattle and for his NFC team. I mean, I have to say for me, the Bengals just are so exciting to watch, and you just can't help but feel that they're going to be like this for years to come. I hope they win it. I just don't think they'll get there. I think the Titans will just be that little bit too that little bit too smart for them a little bit, and that'll be the reason that it'll all go a bit wrong.
Yeah, they've had that extra week to get healthy, get fit.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of rest. We saw a couple of the Bengals players go down and off the field with injuries. A couple of big names as well for the Bengals went off. So I think that's going to play a big factor as well. So yeah, we move on to the next game. It's the important one for you. It's the San Francisco 49ers at your Green Bay Packers.
So this is the only one that I feel remotely confident in. And I cannot explain to you how much of a negative fan I am when it comes to the Packers. They scare the hell out of me. They really do a lot of the time. And the 49ers scare the hell out of me as well, just from past experiences and the fact of that our defense, that our problem has always been the run game. And there's no team really that does it better than the 49ers. The one thing I would say is that the run game has improved. It really has. Or the run defense has improved. And I think that that's going to be a big part of it. Having said all that, obviously the 49ers are probably going to go run heavy because that's how they play. Because of that, I actually think it's going to be I think it could be quite a tight game, but I think it could be quite a low scoring game. So I do like the under in this at 47. I think the under's not too bad. I'm seeing the Packers as the second favorite to get the most points this weekend. I don't, against that 49ers defense, I mean, it's going to be ridiculously cold. All you're going to need is a little bit of breeze, and that's going to throw. I mean, Jimmy G is going to be thrown off anyway because he's never played in these sort of conditions. But I mean, just a bit of breeze there, and that's going to throw that score down. You just have to feel that it's going to be run heavy. And you have to feel that the 49ers are going to want it to be run heavy because that will stop Rodgers getting the ball so much. So I feel that the under at 10 to 11 is a good price. The only other bet that I really saw in this was Randall Cobb 3 to 1 anytime. He's back for this game. Rodgers loves Cobb. He always has done. He's going to be a target. I think he's going to. I feel Lazard has done really well, and I'm a fan of Lazard. I think he's been really good. But I feel like now that Cobb's back, he's the one who's going to get the targets over him. So I think Cobb at 3 to 1 is good. With the 49ers, I think it might be one step too far for them. and that 7 of their last 9 games have been away from home. They're pretty beaten up in the secondary, and they can't cope with Devontae Adams at all. They couldn't earlier in the season. That's the one weakness they've always had. Jimmy G's got a bad shoulder. He's got a bad thumb. It's like it's all falling off over it, sort of thing for him. I just feel that I wouldn't be as confident to say I think that the Packers will cover the spread and win by like 6-7 points, but I do feel in them conditions at home, I think the Packers will win it. Maybe not comfortably, but I think they'll win it.
Yeah, we said before the playoffs started that home field advantage, and anyone who's got to go to the Packers is going to be up against it, especially with the fact there's a lot of California and Florida teams that are in this. So despite the fact they all play all year and they go, the Packers know this field so well. They're all guys that have been there a long time. I think it's one step too big. I think for me, the Packers are my favourite team going into this playoffs out of everyone. The way I've seen them play this year, I think they've been absolutely fantastic. And they proved that their run game works as well. So it's not a case that they won't do that. And I think when it comes down to that, and you look at it, both have got good run teams, so they both do well in that case. But Rodgers will just be able to pass the ball better in this weather than Jimmy G will. I think Deebo Samuel's going to be the big one, isn't he? He's going to, you got to keep him quiet in the run game as well now. So I think if you manage that, you should be okay. It's going to be an interesting one. I really like the Packers for this one. For me as well, that was an easy one. I didn't even do any research on that one. That's bad, isn't it? At least you did some. I just basically went, I looked at all the other ones and went, well, it's just a Packers win, isn't it? But anything could happen in the playoffs, but I'm confident that they'll get through this one quite comfortably and on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw it with Dallas at Dallas as well, just how the 49ers won. It kind of like it was going really well, and then it got to the fourth quarter, and Jimmy G suddenly went, "Oh, we're winning! Oh no! What do I do?" sort of thing, and it kind of like didn't know what to do, and there was some overthrows and an interception, and it all kind of was just started falling apart. And really, they got through because of the joys of Mike McCarthy as a head coach. So yeah, I mean that's why they got there in the end. But this has been my point with him all the time. I just don't feel he's going to win a Super Bowl with them because he's just not good enough. But he's a good quarterback, but he's not good enough to win the whole thing. I think the other thing is that maybe I didn't mention. I mentioned about Jimmy G being injured, but as we said about the secondary, that's a bit beaten up as well. The Packers are getting healthier, which is ridiculous at this time of year that any team is getting healthier. I mean, I know the Titans have because they got Henry, but the Packers are getting healthier. Bakhtiari is back for this game. It's probably the first time in this season that the O-line is actually at full strength. I think Myers is back as well. And Jair Alexander is back. So he's meant to be playing for a corner, arguably one of the best corners in the league to get back for now. Like I say, Cobb's back and he and Aaron Rodgers always goes for him. They're pretty healthy and they've had the week off. So it's I think there's a lot of pressure on them. That's the one thing I would say. There is a lot of pressure on them, but if there's ever been a quarterback that can cope with pressure, it's been Aaron Rodgers. So I think because of that, it kind of, like you say, it kind of felt a bit like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you just made a little comment there. The fact that the Cowboys made a bit of a few errors in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. I mean, the Green Bay Packers have never been too shy of making an error in the fourth quarter.
Oh no, we'll give it a go. Don't you worry. We'll try our best. But there's only one team beating us this weekend, and that's ourselves.
Yeah. So. Choosing whether to kick field goals or go for touchdowns, we'll see. That's it for our Saturday game. So we move on to the Sunday fixtures. Couple of really interesting fixtures again. First one up is the LA Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I actually think that the Sunday games are probably more interesting than the Saturday games, purely because we said, I feel like the Packers one is a bit of a obvious one. The Rams Bucks, it's a really difficult one. It's two really close teams, quite closely matched. I've always gone down the line of don't go against Tom Brady because he has this habit of winning all the time. So it makes you feel that way. But when you actually look at it and you look into the two teams and you look at where their sort of strengths and weaknesses are, the Rams kind of have a bit of a thing over the Bucks, I think, for this one. It's like they they seem to match up relatively well. The Rams' biggest weakness is the O line. So as long as they can keep Stafford upright, I think they'll probably win it because they are pretty stacked everywhere else. The Bucks have lost a few guys here and there. I don't know if is it Tristan Verst, isn't it? I don't know if is he fit.
I think he's definitely questionable with his ankle injury. I don't, the way he went off and didn't come back, I don't think he'll play. But
no.
Yeah.
See, now if he was playing, that would be a huge plus for the Bucks because obviously it's about keeping Brady upright as well. The Bucks' strength is to stop the run, but the thing is that the Rams not only have the run in Cam Akers and Sony Michel, who's done pretty well since he's been there, they also have the number one wide receiver, this season in Cooper Kupp. OBJ, really like OBJ for this one again. Been saying it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's 8-5. I think he's a good shout. I do like the over. I think over 48 points in this game at 10-11 is a good one. I think it could end up becoming a bit of a shootout, just purely because I think once the run game, and they're both pretty good against the run, once that stops, it kind of almost like the only way you score is by passing. Of course, that gives you more time on the field. So I feel that the over is decent for this one. Yeah, the only other ones that I did like look off for the Bucks, when you think of who, Chris Godwin is out, which leaves quite a lot of space for the other receivers. Gronk, always like Gronk at 11-8, scored a touchdown last weekend that we gave. I think he'll probably get another one this weekend. And if not Gronk, Cameron Brate, which is what I said last weekend at 9-2. It's a bigger price, but I think Gronk and OBJ for this one, definitely the over. And yeah, I think the Rams might win it, which pains me.
Yeah, well, you're finally buying into what
No,
I said.
no. I'm not buying into them. I think they're good for this matchup.
Well, last week you weren't. Last week I said, Rams, I really like them. You were unsure of them last week. You went with them against the Cardinals, thinking they had the edge, but you went, that's as far as they're going to go. They won't get any further. We predicted it'd be the Bucks that they went up against, and you were like, no. And I went, I said, the Bucks are very beat up, and I said the Eagles had their best chance against them with how beat up they were, but the Eagles aren't the Rams, are they? They've not got the level of talent across the field. And I said, if they're anything like they were and they still remain beat up, I think the Rams have got this one. And it got worse for the Bucks, I think, in terms of injuries. They've lost Fournette, they've lost Ronald Jones. Sean Murphy Bunting's out in the secondary. Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen both got injured. That's their O line completely beat up. I think Rashad Perriman, did he leave with an injury at one point?
I think he did, but I think he's meant to be okay.
Still, you're kind of then asking Jalen Ramsey to cover Mike Evans.
Yeah,
should take care of that himself. And the speed that they've got at linebacker in the Rams defense, you'd think that would keep Gronk fairly sort of under wraps and stuff like that. So, it's just the level of talent that they've got across the board at that Rams team. It's just like you said, if you stop the run game, look at the wide receivers they've got, and Tyler Higbee as well. Let's not discredit the fact of how good the tight end is as well, despite the fact the 3 wide receivers they've got. Or they shut down the wide receivers, and they've got Sony Michel and Cam Akers, who both had a lovely game last week. So, you know, it was more running game than passing game, which we were surprised at last week for them. So I'm just not sure how the Bucs are gonna answer these questions. You can't just go, oh, it's Tom Brady, because it's not just all about offense and just him. I think I think the Rams just are one too good with what they've got, and Sean McVay's again another fantastic coach that will have a bit more about him and in the locker, hopefully, to get over the line with this one. But yeah, I think the Rams are one too good for this one.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I think they probably are. The only thing I would say, and I know I said this last week, but like you say, after looking at it and going through it a bit more, you do, especially after last weekend as well, because I think the O-line is massive for the Bucs. It always has been with Brady there, and I think that's a really big problem now. So yeah, I think the Rams for this one. But I am going to double down on the fact that they're not going any further, because if they do, whoever they play, they're not going any further, because I think the Packers will be able to match up with them when it comes to stopping the run. They have improved, even with players like Cup out there. They have really good corners at the Packers. The 49ers, we have seen, will just beat them up, and that'll be the end of it. So home or away, it doesn't matter. So whichever one they go up against, then I think they're done. I hope they're done.
I think they might struggle in the cold against Green Bay. I think they've got the match of the 49ers. They just sort of turned off in the last game against the 49ers. They're just kind of like, oh, I think we've won this one. And the 49ers sneaked back in and took it from them. So, who knows? I still like them. But I also like the Packers. So,
Can I just say, the other thing with the Rams, if they don't, they should win this whole thing. They really should. If they don't, it is a disappointment to them. I mean, they are in that position now where, McVay has been there for a while. They've improved. They've brought in lots of players. They've brought in the new quarterback because, Goff got them to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, there's only one step further to go. And they really should, it's a massive disappointment. And we're going to be moving on to this next game, and whoever loses that one, it's going to be a massive disappointment to their season as well.
Yeah, as you said, that the Rams have brought in a lot of players on 1-year contracts, a lot of big names and stuff that they brought in that they traded for. So yeah, definitely right. With it's a disappointment if they don't win it. That's their expectation. So the next game is the most intriguing game, the one that probably everybody wants to watch. It's the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, me and Freddie did this podcast, and I came out and said I feel like the Chiefs have got something over the Bills, and they have done for the last few years. I then looked at a lot of the stats, and I actually said in that podcast as well that when it comes to the stats, it does favour the Bills and stuff like that. But when you really look into it, it favours the Bills a lot. And I think it feels like one day you'll go for one team, the next day you'll go for the other. It really is one of them games where either of them could win it, to be honest. I do really like the over. I think we probably all like the over and all hope for the over. It's 53.5, but I still think it's going to happen at 10-11. The one thing on the Chiefs side that I do like the look of, and we tipped him up last week and he came through for us. The Bills defense, they're number 1 against the pass, but they're number 10 against the rush. They're not quite against the run. They're not quite as good against it. Jerick McKinnon showed last week that I think for the rest of this Chiefs playoff run, I think he's probably going to be the main guy in the backfield. He's 6'4" anytime. I think there's a strong chance that he will probably get one. When it comes to the actual result, I think I'm going to go for the Bills today. but you never know. It'll probably be the Chiefs tomorrow. But I think the Bills, the stats, they don't lie over the course of a season. And I think that the Bills are just in that position at the moment where the offense has really kicked in. Devin Singletary has really got that run game going now at last. So I think that's a massive positive for them because it opens up Josh Allen so much when it comes to the pass, but also for his rushing as well. Yeah, I think that the Bills will probably win it. I like them at +2, if at 10 to 11. I like them to win at 11 to 10 if you want the slightly bigger price. And the one guy that I do like at the price is Dawson Knox. Got 2 touchdowns last week. He's a big red zone target for Josh Allen. He's 7 to 4. I think he'll be. I think he'll have a good chance of scoring. And yeah, I think the Bills. It'll be the Bills against the Titans in the championship game.
Yeah, I said when the Bills lost to the Patriots in their first meet up earlier in the season that I felt like the Bills had built a team to beat the Chiefs, which we saw them do, and they'd forgot about the Pats. And I still agree with that. I feel like they the way they lost in the playoffs and the way they haven't been progressing to Super Bowls is because they needed to get past the Chiefs. So they purposely built a team to beat the Chiefs. And I think that we've seen that. Having said that, it's the only thing I can really go on with this game because they are so evenly matched and how good the Chiefs have been coming into this. It's such a hard one to evaluate and really home in and go, this is going to be the areas, this is where it's going to be won or lost. You know, they've both got experience, they've both been and done it. That it's so difficult to really call. I like the Bills in this one for that fact. I said they built him. We've seen them beat them already this year. It's not obviously not going to be the same, but we've seen them do it already. And they did it in great fashion. What was it, like 38-20 or something like that? The Chiefs never in it. The only thing that I like about the Chiefs on their side is they're at home, they're at Arrowhead, and that is a massive. Everyone always says that place to go and play at. All the ex-professionals always come out and say that's a place you don't want to go and play as an away player. So I think they've got that in their favour, and it's the only plus I've got for them on their side. So yeah, I've got to stick with the Bills in this game. I think they're the ones that, for me, on that side of the draw, were my favourites to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to stick with them for it, and I think they get the edge on this one. But it's going to be such an interesting game, that one is.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say about the 38-20 game, the Chiefs' defense has improved since then. Having said all of that, when you actually look, I mean, it's difficult because obviously they had like a really poor start to the season and then they've improved. When you look at their season as a whole, this is the one thing that you probably can see a difference with is the defenses. The Bills are first against the pass, 10th against the run. The Chiefs are 26th against the pass and 19th against the run, although them stats kind of include when they were playing really bad. As I said, this is a massive disappointment for whoever loses this. If the Bills lose this one again to the Chiefs, you do have to question what more can we do, because they have lit that, you know, they've kind of thrown everything at it. I mean, maybe you could argue they go out and get themselves a real like stud running back, but apart from that, it is a little bit like, what else can we do here? And the other thing is with the Chiefs, and this is something that I feel a lot of people haven't really thought about. This is a win now. They need to do this now because Mahomes' contract, that is shooting up next year against the cap. That is going to be huge. And it's like, that's going to become a problem. And it's going to become a problem with him and Kelsey and Hill to keep everyone paid. And so you kind of feel like this needs to happen now, because if it doesn't, it could be a bit of a long time before they have another go. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. There's probably a reason they've left it to the last of the four, because it is the most interesting one and hopefully the most exciting. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think we kind of both agree with the Bills. They're kind of set up for it now.
Yeah, I mean, they call it prime time in America. I call it being very tired for work on Monday morning, because that's an 11:30 kickoff. So yeah, it is why they've left it down. But it's
That's an
gonna
early one. It's 1:15 on
yeah,
Saturday.
1:15. Yeah, no, they're even worse. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Have we gone with the same teams across the board for all the games again?
Titans, Packers, Rams, and Bills.
Yeah, I thought you were going to disagree on.
So my
I thought you were going to have Bengals and Bucks differently.
so what I want to happen and what I think will happen are two different things. So my want is very much Bengals, Packers, Bucks, and probably Bills and Chiefs. I don't really mind, to be honest, because they're both very good and good to watch. But yeah, that was what I'd like to happen, but I don't think it will. So
Fingers crossed we get another 100% on all the games again,
yeah.
and hopefully we win a load of people more money with all your bets that you've just had. Have you put a video out? Are you putting one out later?
No,
Or
so there's one. It will probably go out tomorrow morning, probably UK time, and yeah, so we'll probably put that out then. To be honest, there's not loads in this. I think it's going to predominantly be for the overs and unders and stuff like that. There are a couple of bets that I do think Cobb at 3-1. I think is a decent price, knowing how much Rogers wants to go to Cobb all the time. And Jamar Chase at 13-8, I think is one that you should all be going for. And Dawson Knox 7-4. Maybe them three. I could do them three. And
yeah, we mentioned last week while the games were on, we were talking behind the scenes that it's so hard to gamble when it's just one game on at a time, isn't it? It just makes it so much more difficult. But you can't add in for the big accumulators. But
no.
I'll be having my first touchdown scorers just because the odds are great. So
well, Ryan Tannehill's there for you, so
I will have it. It'll be good odds at first touchdown, not just any time, first touchdown.
Yeah.
But that's it for now. It's a nice, short and sweet one. There's only the 4 games, so best of luck if your team's still in it. Yours is, Adam. So best of luck to your Packers, and we'll be back next week for another preview show, and we'll be back during the week for another main show. So till then, guys, thanks for joining, and best of luck.